This is crazy, I'm on the right track, I'm finally found. You need some soul searching, the time is now. All I need is one mic.
After sending the last email to my brother that I had sent prior to this last reply I read you guys in the last video, I received a report. And I could see that my email was being opened up and read at Liberty Mutual. And so I just had enough between that and Satan's mouth and her tone and the way she was speaking to me and just everything. I had finally decided that I had enough. And so I wrote this email back to her. I am done talking to you, Satan. And I actually used her real name. Once again, I could see that Stephen has not even read the message and that you are the one who has opened it up and replied before he even looked at it. So let's stop with this charade already. I have 100% proof that it is you, Satan, and it cannot be refuted, period, end of story. I tried to warn Stephen several times, and now it's just over. Later that afternoon, I get another report that this email was opened up at Liberty Mutual. And then I get this voice message from my brother.
Yeah, this is just got your most recent email message. I want to assure you it's me and not that's reading and writing the emails. I don't know what proof you have, but you better have good proof because you're dealing with a web developer. I will see you in court and you can bring whatever proof you have in there, okay? Bye.
So clearly, Stephen was shooketh. I don't know whose idea it was to leave that voicemail, but it was pretty ridiculous. I mean, did my brother think at this point in time that his word had any value to me? That anything he said had any type of credibility? I mean, did he really think I believed him just because he said it? Whose idea was that? Because it was so stupid. All this stuff and all these bizarre voicemails and all this like crazy shit that was going on at this point in time was really starting to worry me. I mean, I've told you guys this in several videos. I knew my brother was in an abusive relationship. It was very clear to me. But like this, at this point, with all these like weird voicemails and just like the way my brother sounded in these voicemails and his whole, just everything, how robotic he sounded and his tone and the things that he was saying, like it sounds like he's reading off of a script. This is beyond just, okay, my brother's in an abusive relationship. This is fucking scary at this point in time. I'm really worried about him. I just don't understand it. I've seen people write this in comments and I've heard people say it, you know, friends of mine and people I've talked to, and they're like, you know, I feel bad for your brother. I don't feel bad for him. I kind of stopped feeling bad for him. This was the point in time where I started to get like, I'm never talking to him again. Every time a line was crossed and a boundary was crossed, I was in such shock and disbelief. And I was like, oh my God, dude, like how far is he going to allow this to go? How far is he gonna allow this girl to take things? And so I wanted them to know finally that I knew that they were reading these emails, and clearly what I wrote scared them. I mean, why would you call me up and leave that bizarre message? It's so weird. My brother left that voicemail and I didn't even respond to it. I wanted my brother and Satan to basically shit their pants for a little bit. I didn't respond that night to their ridiculous voicemail. In the meanwhile, I had a conversation with my attorney and I went off on him. Nobody was enforcing this agreement that we signed. It's like, you know, I said this in the last couple of videos, but I was like, brother has broken every freaking step of that agreement that we signed in the beginning. Like, I cannot believe my attorneys were allowing this shit. What the fuck am I paying you people for? So I really got into it with my attorney. You know, I just kind of like went off on him. And, you know, he said something to me that kind of like resonated with me, that he was just like, you know, you can't change your brother. You can't. You're not going to change the situation. You need to just deal with it and move on and just get this estate settled. The sooner you get this over with, the better off you're going to be, and everybody's going to be in the long run. Now, here's what was so funny. Satan was clearly reading these emails, and I could tell that they were on two different phones, and this is like so crazy, but I could see that somebody had their iOS, their operating system on their phone. I could see that one person had the most current version updated on their phone and the other person didn't. And that was the way I was able to tell that two different people were reading the emails, okay? So I could see that my brother obviously had opened up one of my emails at some point in time during that day. And I could also see that my email, because I sent it from my Gmail account that I didn't, normally email him from. I sent it to his regular email account. I could see that he forwarded it to the other account. Somebody had opened it up from that account. And I see that he opened up the email, and the only reason I knew that he opened it up is because I know my brother, and I know that his operating system is going to be up to date, where Satan's might not be. And I know Satan is the one who was reading these emails, because she opened up the email at 11:32, and then she opened it up again at like 2:40 something, okay? So I know she was reading these emails. And each time it says that the email was opened up for more than 10 minutes, which means she probably never really closed out of it. It's so funny because you're like, ooh, I'm a web developer. Oh, you're dealing with a web developer. Well, you're not that good at your job, Steven, because you don't even know what kind of information I was able to obtain not being a web developer. I know everything. Everything. Things that you don't even think I would know. So I write back to him the next morning and I write, Steven, yeah. Got your message. If you really think it's necessary to bring me to court, that's 100% fine with me. Court doesn't scare me. Either do web developers. Laughing face with tears emoji. My lawyer was going to request a conference anyway, so it works out for me. Again, thank you. It's not the first threat I've received, and I'm sure it won't be the last. If you decide to pull through with this one, I'll make sure I bring copies of all those threats as well. You and your wife have been threatening me for over a year now, and I'm just done with it. Threats to not sign listing agreements, reimbursements and disbursement checks, which I believe is called extortion, threats of pressing criminal charges, threats to take the executorship out of my hands, etc., all have foolishly been put in writing where there is no denying their existence. I don't know why you would allow that. It's your name on the line. I cleared out the house by myself, and so I'm doing exactly what should be done to get the estate settled, and I also have proof of that. You could keep denying and trying to assure me that you are writing the emails, but all you're doing is making yourself look like a bigger liar. The jig is up. You will see that I have proof, and it doesn't matter what occupation you have. Thank you for your assurance, but unfortunately, just because you say something, it doesn't make it true. The agreement was to get the house cleared out and then hire a real estate agent once that's done. You were supposed to do that. You missed your own deadline, and so I took the initiative to complete the task. That was my priority. But of course, the need to gaslight, distract, make me look bad, cause chaos, and be disruptive was more important. No one told you to sign a listing agreement before we even spoke about it. And so again, maybe you should refer back to the agreement you signed. Now that the house is cleared, I will call the agent. And when I told him to refer back to the agreement, it was because in that agreement, it said that one cannot do something without the approval of the other. And yet, he broke that every step of the way. I wanted to know why he didn't want to use Lynn, and I think I had a right to ask that. But of course, I can't get a straight answer. That would be too easy. Everything has to be a game. I'm glad my mother's death and my grief is like a giant chessboard to some people. AKA Satan, the succubus. Since you were too worried about making every last dime you could, only to end up proposing that we waste $1,700 to have other people clean our mother's house out, I decided to take matters into my own hand and do what we had originally agreed to in the very beginning. The rules keep changing just like the goalposts, and so it's a little confusing. Either way, I said I'd get the house cleared out, and I did. Now it must be cleaned. Between the threats, the insults that I am paranoid, unstable, and don't have a real job, the games, the word twisting, the moving of the goalposts, and the evidence that you are breaking the agreement you signed in more ways than one, according to my attorneys, the outcome will most likely be me and you shelling out $60,000 so a public administrator could get the estate settled once and for all. It's all in writing, and anyone with even a microscopic morsel of common sense can see what is really going on here. It's not about rings and photo albums or anything else even pertaining to the estate. It's about control. I mean, who shows up at an estate meeting and hands 3 attorneys meeting agendas complete with a detailed outline and a lot of times for each topic? As you said, you are a web developer, not an attorney. We are discussing settling an estate and paying off electric bills, not brokering multi-million-dollar real estate transactions or signing peace treaties with foreign leaders. Everyone involved is fed up with the demands, the harassment, and the childish behavior. No one should have to deal with this added nonsense while grieving the loss of their mother, but I guess when you aren't grieving, it's a big game. I don't have to put up with it anymore, and I am not going to anymore. There is no estate boss. You don't call the shots or tell me how I'm doing things. If you choose to put up with it, that is your choice. I don't have to live my life like that. Your refusal to cooperate and communicate has also been clearly documented since the very beginning. I mean, you admitted in front of 3 lawyers that you had me blocked on your cell phone. You are the one making things more difficult than they have to be, because for whatever reason, you cannot communicate with me by yourself. You need to understand, though, that you are not going to have a choice or say in whether a public administrator is assigned. I tried to warn you several times, but you allowed all of this to continue and kept the charade going. According to my attorneys, the court is going to see that 2 grown adults sadly cannot get along, refrain from calling names, and act like adults, or agree on anything and just appoint a public administrator. So you will see how much of a waste of money and time this all is. Your lawyer's fees should cancel out the value of whatever worthless things you are fighting for. But hey, if that's what floats your boat, who am I to argue? When all is said and done, I hope the ends justify the means for you. Sadly, after all this nonsense, sacrificing $30,000 of my inheritance so that my mother can finally rest in peace and I can move on and start living my life is starting to look a hell of a lot more tempting. Unblocking me from your phone a day ago isn't going to change what has already happened. Again, it's all in writing. You've allowed someone to assume your identity and speak very condescendingly on your behalf, and it's too late to sweep it under the rug. The evidence is already there. You can't erase it. By the way, why would you leave something in a mailbox that no one looks in anymore and not tell me you did so until the next day after I was long gone? I just want to explain that.
I didn't do a very good job of explaining this while I was filming, so I'm going to explain it real quick like this. One night, me and Kara were at the house, and we were packing up a couple of things that were left, and all of a sudden, we look out the window, and we see my brother's car pull up to the house, okay? So we're trying not to sit there and watch it and stare at it, but, out of the corner of our eyes, we're kind of watching it. And then all of a sudden, we realize that he just pulls away. And I'm like, what the hell was that all about, So I leave the house. I come back the next day with my son. And, my son was used to me taking my mom's mail. And so when we went there, he naturally just got out of the car and walked to the mailbox. And he opens up the mailbox, and sure enough, there's something in it. And when he hands it to me, I'm like, oh my God, what the hell? Why is this in a mailbox? It was a check with our bank account number on it for the estate, sitting in a mailbox at a house that nobody lives at anymore. And I'm like, I cannot believe this. But that's why my brother came to the house that night, was to put the check, I guess, in my mom's kitchen. But since I was in the house, he put it in the mailbox and expected me to be, Nostradamus or some kind of mind reader and know that that's what he was doing. I had no idea he was putting something in the mailbox that night, and it was just completely irresponsible. And as you will see, I lie to him and tell him that I couldn't get to the house just to let him know how unbelievably irresponsible that was.
Anyway, so I said, first off, I thought you said that was an unacceptable form of communication. And secondly, as an executor, that's not a very responsible thing to do, because now our estate bank account number and routing number are up for grabs at a house that no one lives at. And due to the recent amount of garbage out in front of it, it's quite obvious no one lives there anymore. You very easily could have walked about 100 more steps into the house and handed them to me, but of course, you were not allowed to interact with me, or you were afraid to interact with me, whichever one it is. Let's hope none of the neighborhood drug addicts decide to open the mailbox, because I didn't go to the house yesterday, and I don't have transportation to get there today, since my car is in the shop. I actually had the check, but I just wanted to make him feel like an asshole. Was I supposed to read your mind and know you put something in the mailbox? That was an extremely irresponsible thing to do. I'll make sure the court knows that as well. Also, what was that BS about me having strangers in the house to clean it out and not being there and calling the cops? How would strangers get in the house? If you saw unfamiliar trucks in the driveway, why didn't you stop in and see who it was? Then again, since you said apparently there are cars in the driveway, I assumed you weren't the one who saw them. Well, whomever you sent to check up on the house should learn what your family's cars look like. Talk about paranoid. That was our Uncle Tom and myself. Just as I did with all of our other aunts and uncles, I gave him an opportunity to take something from the house to remember his sister by. Anyway, why would it matter if I had anyone helping me clean out the house? You said several times that you didn't want anything from the house, and you proposed that you were willing to pay a company to come and clean out the house. Get it together already, Steven. I want to get this estate settled, but I refuse to play games with someone who's not supposed to be involved. So I write that email to Steven. Again, I just want to point out here that I tried to reach in and get some emotions back. I'm grieving, and I guess you're not grieving, right? This is what I get back in return. Leanna, thank you for calling the agent as I've asked. I'm not threatening to take you back to court. A request for a conference was already submitted as of last week, and I am waiting on a date. Please call your attorney to verify. No conference was ever requested. I called the court, I called my attorney, he called the court, Jeannie called the court. No conference was ever requested. More lies from Satan. Here we go with the gaslighting. You ready? The court will see that I've been more than accommodating in communicating with you and handling estate business. Ready? You ready for this one? The fact is that nothing gets done unless I request meetings with attorneys and conferences with the court. Really, bitch? Really? Nothing gets done? To be honest with you guys, the real work to getting the estate done was cleaning that house out. Getting a house cleaned out in 2 weeks, that was a lot of work. These people, all they did was write emails and make phone calls. All lies. This girl is a compulsive liar. You can't just unilaterally decide that a public administrator is handling the estate. I wasn't going to be the one making that decision. The court was. Ready for this? Because here again, more narcissist bullshit. Narcissists really think that they're smarter than everybody else. That means that they're smarter than attorneys, doctors, rocket scientists. I mean, they're just smarter than everybody. Listen to what this girl says. If your attorney was really giving you sound advice, he would have advised your to petition, I guess she meant you to petition the court to become co-administrator with me back in January and saved you months of time and thousands in legal fees. No, you dumb bitch. It doesn't work like that. My attorney couldn't petition the court for us to become co-executors until my aunts filed their petition to be executors, because we had to object to them being the executors in order for us to petition the court for me and my brother to be co-executors. And they had to resign for this to happen.
There is literally no point of her even bringing this up. It's like, Satan, what do you want me to do? Hop in my time machine and go back in time and change things? Like, what is the purpose of even bringing this up? It's just to argue, because this, and as you will guys see, this is what this girl just loves to do. She actually enjoys it.
No, Satan, that's not how it works. So thank you for your legal advice, but you're a fucking idiot. So here we go. At the conference, I will address items other than just the ring and albums. So here we go. Let me just back this up for a second, okay? I cleaned out an entire fucking house by myself. Do you think that I got one thank you from these people? No. Instead, this girl got pissed off and starts to add more shit on, because this is what she does. So here we go. At the conference, I will address items other than just the ring and albums. For example, you've cleaned out the house, but what have you done with everything? Donated it? Sold it? Thrown it out? Have you gotten any receipts for donations? Ready? You are acting alone. You keep getting mail from the P.O. box, but I have not received any copies. I've been there many times, and it is always completely empty. Am I to believe that not even junk mail goes into that box? If you guys will remember, I did tell them that I would be cleaning the house out. And we had discussions about this over the course of several emails. But now, she's going to act like she doesn't know that I was cleaning out the house. These motherfuckers came to the house. I can't even tell you how many times as I was cleaning it out. I mean, they took stuff that I left for them. They saw the boxes piling up.
Not to mention, most of these boxes, as you can see, were right by my mom's front door. I mean, you literally couldn't even walk in the house without seeing them.
They saw the garbage out in front of the house. But now you're gonna sit there and act like you didn't know that I was cleaning the house out. This is crazy. Girl's completely psychotic. And she thinks that if she puts this stuff in writing, it makes it true. It's insane. We had agreed that I would handle cleaning out that then house. I presented you with a few options, but did not act without your approval. Because you didn't act without my approval because I didn't approve your proposal of paying somebody $1,700 to clean my mom's house out. That's why you didn't act, asshole.
Not to mention, you couldn't act without my approval because the two things that you wanted to do, which was have an estate sale, neither company was willing to do the sale. So You couldn't act, even if you wanted to. So what the fuck are you even talking about? And we sure as hell know that you weren't going to give up your weekends of drinking and going out to the bar to clean the house out. So what the hell were you gonna do without my approval, Satan?
Ready? Ready? Here we go. More gaslighting. You never responded, but instead took it upon yourself to empty the house. Well, you were clearly okay with it. You wait until I completely empty the house to say this, right? Okay. It's like, dude, I did all that work and I don't get a thank you. This is what I get for it. As I've said from the beginning, I've been the person communicating with you, not my wife. I know about the tracking pixel you've been putting into the emails, but that only shows the IP address where the email was accessed, or the IP address of the VPN that the accessing device was connected to. First of all, bitch, it's not a VPN. VPN is a virtual private network. Learn your shit. This is not my brother writing this, because he would never write that. It does not show who is actually reading the emails. The email headers will better show who actually sent the emails, and it has been me every time. It hasn't been you. We all know that. I know that for 100% fact. Maya 2013. Anyway, it might be a more productive use of your time to address the content of the emails rather than investigating who is reading them. This girl is so textbook narcissist that she is now going to gaslight me into thinking that the proof that I have is not proof. And let me just tell you guys something, okay? I had 100% proof outside of this email tracker, which I won't get into. The email tracker was pretty much 100% proof. The whole reason we added that thing to the stipulation of settlement was because my brother had signed over power of attorney to his wife 2 days before my mom passed away. I had recorded phone calls and stuff that his wife was actually calling up places, acting on his behalf. So she was using her power of attorney. The fact that we even added that is kind of proof in and of itself.
And really, let's be honest, why is Satan sitting at work opening up my emails at various times during the day? It's like every time I send an email, she happens to open it right after I send it. And then I get a reply. It's so obvious that it's her. I don't even need to prove it to you guys anymore. You guys know, I know, everybody knows. Satan was the one writing the emails. And my brother, he was just sitting there with his thumb up his ass.
All right, so I write back to her. I hate this bitch. This girl, like, really just loved wasting time and writing these stupid fucking emails back and forth.
I just want to notate here that I probably shouldn't have even entertained this shit and wrote back to her. But this is part of the crazy making that narcissists do. And as immune to it as I thought I wasn't, because I was kind of falling into her trap by even answering her and entertaining this bullshit. In reality, I should have just went along and did what I had to do, and I shouldn't have even sat there and fought back and forth with her. But it's kind of hard when somebody's like accusing you of things and making all this shit up to not defend yourself. And, you know, this is what they want to do. I mean, this girl's just sitting at work, and I wish I could tell her fucking boss that she was wasting so much time just sitting there writing these goddamn emails. I mean, it's ridiculous. I'm sitting home. I have nothing better to do at my time. I'm a stay-at-home mom, so I could write emails all fucking day. This girl is getting paid, sitting at her job, wasting company time writing these stupid emails.
So I write back to her that day at 12:21 p.m. I say, okay, that's great. I already know all about the email headers. You can try to explain it away, Steven, but why would you be connected to Liberty Mutual's network during the day? It says Liberty Mutual. You don't work there. Keep lying. It does in fact tell me who's reading them. Your wife. It even tells me how long she's had them open for, and even gives me the weather just in case. She obsessively reads each email I send. It even tells me when the email is forwarded. It records the info every time the email is opened. I get a report back. If they are opened at Liberty Mutual, then I receive a reply before they are opened by anyone else, which I'd see. That means she is the one replying. I have hundreds of reports. You can try all you want to explain it away, but it is solid proof. Sorry your web developer skills didn't treat my critical thinking skills. I think I meant to write beat. That along with the fact that we even added a stipulation to the agreement you signed is proof in and of itself. We added it for this very reason. Please don't try to gaslight me into thinking it's anything other than what it is. I loved using these like narcissist terms against her because she was seething, I'm sure. As far as me emptying the house, I told you I was emptying it. I told my lawyer, and there was no objection. Why does it matter where the stuff is going? You stated several times that you didn't care. We have your attorney on tape saying...
So basically, whatever's in the house, either she can have it, or
whatever's in the house,
you
take.
Keep reaching. Just because you put stuff in writing after the fact doesn't mean you can manipulate the facts. I have proof of everything. Please stop. You aren't scaring me. And don't tell me what my attorneys know and don't know. They have over 40 years experience. So she writes back to me at 12:37 p.m. It matters because it's estate property. If you're selling it, the money belongs to the estate. If you're donating it, it's a tax write-off for the estate. It's not just yours. I just want to remind you guys that these assholes sent a contract over, which would imply that they were okay with this and they agreed to this, to pay somebody to clean the house out and throw everything that was left in the house away. So what do you care what I did with it now that I'm emptying it? You guys were okay with it just getting thrown in the garbage. Just keep this in mind. It's complete fucking insanity. It really is. She had nothing to argue about at this point in time, and so she is now making up things to argue with me about. It's not just yours. Your own attorney said this at the meeting. What happened to the pool vacuum? Like, what? What? The pool vacuum? You don't even have a pool. What do you care? Did you give it away? Sell it? Keep it for yourself? You guys deemed everything junk when you sent over the contract to have the house cleaned out. Period. End of story.
Plus, when you handed me what was, in your words, a completed inventory list of items that you took from the house, you basically told me that you were done taking items from the house and that you didn't want anything else. You have nothing else to argue about, so now you're going to start bringing up pool vacuums and all this other bullshit that you really don't give a shit about. You just want to argue with me. I mean, this is the very definition of insanity.
Ready? You ready for this? Everything belonging to the estate has some value. Oh, now it has a value. But a couple of days ago when you sent over a contract, it had no value. But now it has a value because you have nothing else to argue with me about. Ready? So now she's going to start adding in more stuff. Here we go. Here we go. Like everything you took from the safe, which you still have not produced an inventory of. And I'm not gonna, bitch. This agreement you selectively apply to emails, and then she writes in parentheses, which you have no conclusive proof, but only circumstantial proof, again, trying to gaslight me, that my proof isn't a real proof, works two ways. You can't hold me to not act on anything without your authorization and just keep doing whatever you want. I wasn't. I told them what I was doing, and they were well aware of what I was doing. Who you think is reading or accessing the email is completely irrelevant. Then why do you keep talking about it? Why did you make my brother call me up and leave that ridiculous voicemail? My wife hasn't signed a single check, hired a single contractor, signed any legal document, or conducted any estate business since the agreement was signed.
I just realized that she inadvertently admitted to conducting estate business prior to the agreement being signed. So, good job, Satan.
Ready? You ready for this? I knew this was coming. I knew it. Have you ever considered that I sometimes meet her at her office for lunch? Good luck proving that she was sitting behind the keyboard typing emails. Let me just show you guys something, okay? Got this tracking report at 11:36 a.m. So yeah, you know, it's possible. Possible my brother met her for lunch, right? But here's what's not possible. I got another tracking report that same day that my email was opened up at 2:45 in the afternoon. So that's quite a long lunch break, Satan. Wouldn't you think? My brother was there for like 3 hours, 4 hours? I don't think so, bitch. On top of that, it takes 25 minutes to get from my brother's job to Satan's job. So you're gonna tell me that in his hour-long lunch break, if that's what he has, because some places only give a half hour, but let's just say, we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. We'll say he has an hour-long lunch. You're gonna tell me that he spends 25 minutes driving to your job and then 25 minutes driving back to his job and only sits with you for 10 minutes, and during that 10 minutes while he's visiting you for lunch, you guys eat lunch and go through my emails, right? No. Sorry, bitch. No. That's a bullshit. I knew she was gonna use that. I knew she was going to use that, but dude, my brother's not visiting you at lunch. You're full of shit, okay? This girl thinks everybody's an idiot. She really does. Get back to her at 3:48 p.m. that same day.